Hello guys, welcome back again. Yasin here. Let's do some weekly updates, see what's happening out there. I decided to start doing like a routine, so we know what we'll be looking at. Instead of just jumping from one chart to another, I think we'll go ahead and look at all the indexes, majority of them, see what's happening out there, where we at. And then we'll look at some FANG stocks, and then probably we'll jump from there to a couple names if you guys requested them. Okay, if not, I'll come up with some new ideas. First of all, we're looking at the S&P. What's my take on it? To be honest with you, it's showing weakness. We're breaking below the 50 on this day right here. We broke the 8, and then we hovered right above the 21, and then right after that we took no time just to break below it, and then as you can see we just barely had a flag right in here. That's just like a taking a flag to the upside and then flip it. Alright, just showing weakness as far as I'm concerned. We broke below the 50. What does that mean? We can head lower as far as I'm concerned. At this point right now, we can come up Mondays and start closing right above it. I've seen that happen before. So you just have to be flexible when it comes to your opinions and biases. If we're heading lower, I put some lines in. I don't really. For me, it doesn't matter where we're going at. I just like to know what level we could hit. You can see some support. You can see some bulls coming in and support those prices. But until then, all I'm waiting for is I want to see signs of reverse and claim back all those moving averages, start closing above the 50, and then all of a sudden we start closing above the 21. Then we can see some bulls claiming back their field. If you ask me about these lines in here, if I just switch quickly to the hourly, you will see what I'm talking about. Let's take these lines off. See here, right here, you can see the whole idea. These are the lines that we had. Yes, just basically support and resistance. What works for me, just basic stuff that I don't have to look for any indicators or anything like that. So these are levels that we can, the S&P can still come in and find some support, and from there I'll look to see if the market is going to reverse. It's market or stock or index, whatever you want to call it. I've just like, for me, those levels that'll be watching. Okay, I see this trend line in here, right in here. We can it acts as a resistance as well. So until we break this, for example, like this trend down, short-term downtrend, and then we claim it back, we close above it, and we start hovering above this level right in here, in that blue line, and then you will see some moving averages flip back. So you will see them on the opposite side. Then we'll say that the market is ready for another push higher. So this is the S&P 500. If I move back to the Dow Jones, just keep in mind with me here that S&P is right below the 50. If we go to the Dow Jones, it's not yet. So that tells you which one is strong, which one is holding its ground. Same thing with this lines in here. We're looking for support for the Dow once it start breaking that 50. But as of right now, it's still holding it. I like to look at different views. See what's happening out there. As far as I'm concerned, the Dow Jones 30 is still showing a little bit more strength than the S&P. If we go back to the Nasdaq, which a lot of people are watching, it's almost the same thing as the S&P. We hovered on as like a flag, as just we did with the S&P. And then we closed here, we bounced back, but still it was bulls were not showing any more strength, and then we kind of gapped around that 50, and then we closed a week below it. We go into the 1 hour intraday, and you can see it right in here. We just having that L-shape sign, or a pattern, whatever you want to call it. We have so when I go to the hourly or the 4 hours, that's what I like to sometimes. If I want to go intraday, you will see where the market could hit and see some bounces and some reactions. So we have a resistance and support right in these areas. We have even some gaps that already got filled, but it doesn't mean we can go back and visit it again. So I'll wait for sign of reversals until the market flip back, and then we'll go from there. If I move back to the weekly, for me, as far as I'm concerned, we can still hit lower prices, but hey, anything can switch back. Okay, I'm not gonna stay bullish or biased all the time. Just whatever the market tells me to do, I'll just look for signs of reverse for either side, and then I'll go from there. Okay, let's jump in. So, as far as I'm concerned, the whole market, I think we might go lower or sideways. I'm thinking it's, as far as right now, it's stock market still showing some sign of weakness. Except if I show you, I think I talked about this last week. The Dow Jones 20 transport it looks like it's living in it's a different world. Look at that. Like we don't even break that 21. We're right at that resistance line. We're just hovering above it, building some energy. If we go to the weekly, we're a little bit extended away from that 21. We touched that almost like a doji in that resistance line. We can still see building energy in here, but once we break above that 21, that we're breaking all-time high on the Dow Jones transport. It's showing strength better than any other index. Just keep that in mind. FANG stocks. Let's look at Nvidia. What are we looking at? We're looking at a stock that broke and hovering below the 21, and again, same thing as S&P. We can go even lower than that, and that's what I see sort of right now. But I'll let the stock decide what it's telling, what it wants to do later. As for right now, its weakness, it's in no man's land. It wants to digest, let it digest. Though I'm not going to be jumping in it. It was a really good stock. If we look at the weekly, stock still in an uptrend. There's nothing wrong with it on the weekly, on the long term. But you look at it on a daily, short term, it wants to digest. So we had quite a gain, man. It just we went from the above $300 all the way to $500. So you have to give stocks some time to digest. Squared, it's still holding. It's above its 50. So when we go through all these FANG stocks, even though Squared is not one of them, I just like to add them because they've been showing me some strength over time. I just like to keep it in them. So when I go above this FANG stock, there's a few of them here that don't belong to the FANG. You will notice that some of them are still holding above the 50, and some of them holding even above the 21. I'll show you a couple names later. That tells you, and that's what you want to keep in mind from now on. And you want to know the leaders. Which one's going to show more strength, and the one that's holding their moving average. That's the one that you want to watch. That's the one that's going to get or make a good move to the upside once we're out of this correction. If we're out of this correction, I'm not assuming anything, but I'm just saying, like, you want to watch which one is holding, which one is not. Squared is holding. It's 50. It's a good sign. If it wants to digest, by all means, let it digest. But hey, like I said, it's one of them that it's just doing really good. Look at it in the weekly. Nothing wrong with the stock. Nothing wrong with the stock. It's just digesting. Since we had the break, I think I bought it in here, and I took some profit on the strength. And then once I saw that the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq took a hit. I think it was on the 3rd. Yeah, I kind of lightened up my position. Next one, Facebook. Facebook below the 50. So now you're watching with me. So Square was above the 50. It's holding its 50. Facebook, it's not. All right, it can still go lower as far as I'm concerned. It's once it start closing below a certain moving average and it's just hovering below it, you know, it doesn't want to even claim it back. That shows me weakness. Okay, that's the same thing we did in here. We closed it. We closed below the 21, and then we just hover below it. So for me, that shows me that whatever it is, index stock, it wants to go lower even further. And we closed below the 50 here, and it's still closing again. I mean, it still did stay below it for another day. Weakness. All you do after that, like I said, it just, you have some basic support and resistance. Keep it simple, and then see what the stock wants to do from there. Does it want to bounce? Does it want to stay there? Other stocks are moving up. Let's look at the weekly. We cut the 8 AMA. We have support. We have a resistance line in here. Let's wait. As far as right now, it's still wants to digest, and it's weak comparing to Square and Nvidia. Baba, I think it's way better than Facebook and Nvidia. It's even struggling with to hold that 21. But again, it's comparing to other ones. It's way even better. It didn't even touch the 50. So and another strong one. Let's look at it, the weekly. Yeah, nothing wrong with the stock. Netflix, same thing as Facebook and Nvidia. I don't want to keep repeating the same thing. You can see the idea here. I've drawn some support resistance, so to see where the stock can hit back. Look at here. So we closed that day. I just want to give you an example here. We closed below the 50, and as far as I'm concerned, you closing below the 50, that's not a good sign. Is it on a volume? It's a little bit pick up on volume. I would say that day, hey, we might go even lower, right? Well, the stock just claim it right back, and then he just closed in the next couple of days above it. So I always like keep always have that flexible mind. I just want to insist that all the time, man. Just don't stay bearish all the time. Don't stay bullish all the time. You know, let the stock tells you what it wants to do. Okay. Now we're closing even below it. That's even weakness. So I won't even touch it. I won't even close to it. MasterCard and Visa, I think it's about the same thing. We broke up. We broke out in here. We came back, retesting now. Came back to that resistance line. I think you have Visa and same thing, same chart. Google, I think Google, the one is showing more weakness than all the names that we discussed before. Let's look at it on the weekly. Yeah, we cut in on the weekly. We're not talking about the daily. We're talking about weekly. We cut in a closing below the 21. It's even kind of worse than the previous ones. Yeah, that's Google. This one has nothing to do with it's LOG. I've seen this one before, but it has nothing to do with the FANG or anything else. I just threw it one day in there, and it stayed there. I was gonna delete it one day, but it didn't. I didn't delete it for some reason. This one actually it's claiming back hold. It's 50 moving 50 and the 21. But hey, that's we can still retest this breakdown, the high of this breakdown candle. We can still come lower, but I've seen it doing it with volume now, which is kind of like it gives me some something to hang my head on. Are we claiming back all the moving averages, and we're coming back down here, or are we going back to retest all this time high? But until we claim and we close above the high of this breakdown candle, then I'll change my thought on it. Okay, and then if I see it consolidating, then I will stay. I will turn bullish into it. Let's look at it on this is the hourly. We have a gap here. So we have to, usually if it's weak, it will fill up the gap and reverse back, just like what the Dow Jones did. Dow Jones 30. Let's look at it on the weekly. We're claiming back the 8. Or barely correct, we're claiming back the 8 moving average on weekly, which is kind of a good sign. But like I said, let's close above first, above that, and then we'll see what's going to happen. PayPal. almost like Google, closing below the 50, and it's just stay there. I won't even look at it. It had the really good solid gains, man, PayPal. So let's look at it in a week. Let's see what my thought on it. Bearish as of right now. Let's see if it closed below that the breakout candle. Once if it breaks below that breakout candle, I would stay more bearish on it as of right now. Anything can change, but as of right now it's still bearish. I'll let it set itself up. Microsoft bearish would come into this resistance. We're coming down, so more prices, I think, as far as I'm concerned. Same look as Google maybe, and Microsoft and Facebook. So I'll just keep it bearish. Apple closing below the 50, more lower prices. We have a gap, it could get filled. Let's look at it on a weekly. Yeah, it wants to come down, and I think it wants to take some profit taking in here. That's what I see. I don't like to complicate things, to be honest with you. Why it's not. The reason doesn't matter for me. Yesterday I was thinking about like some traders out there, they just always want to look for the reason why the market is, or this stock is, or this index is coming down. I don't care about reasons, to be honest with you. A reason doesn't make money. Price movement does make money. Yeah, if you look at why the whole market is in correction right now, there's almost no reason why it's correcting. Why there's no reason? Because we just had a great move from the low of March 23rd, and then we made a great hell of a move. Now there's some profit taken. We moved too much. Now there's some big growth stocks wants to set up new bases. So that's it. No reason. So there's no trade war. There's nothing. So for me, as I'm concerned, man, I don't care about reasons. All I care is about price movement and price patterns, and I'll look at some fundamentals and see what to combine on my decision. Breaking below the 50 on the Apple. So yeah, lower prices ahead as far as I'm concerned. Let's see if we claim back. Always look for reversal signs, claiming back those moving averages. Let them flip, and then we'll see. Last but not least, now we've been watching, most of these are just like breaking below the 50 or and just going lower, indicating lower prices. Well, except Square that we looked at, it was holding its 50 as of right now. Well, Tesla, it's holding even above the 8 EMA. Again, that's showing strength comparing to all the other stocks. Is it buyable here? I don't know. That's your decision. That's not up to me. But I'm not saying bullish on it, but it's strong. As far as the stock, it is strong. It's showing good relative strength compared to other ones. It was a good entry here when we break out, stock. So that's what you want to see sometimes on stocks, breaking and closing below some of the moving averages. They claim right back. They took no time. If it's going to be any push higher or strength, they waste no time on claiming back those moving averages. You start closing below those moving averages, you always want to see. You want to expect some low prices ahead, but hey, Tesla is showing strength comparing to previous stocks. Yeah, let it digest. It's in no man's land. If you had some good entry, good cushion, you should have taken some profit. It's in no man's land right now. Let it do its thing, and then let it show you the way. All right. Next, I tweeted if somebody wanted me to talk about any stock. It was only one request. It was BGNE. I tweeted about this last time, right on the breakout here. I think it was on Thursday. For disclosure, I bought this stock right on that day. Beautiful, simple. You don't need nobody to explain to you what's happening in this stock. Beautiful. Higher highs. Almost like a VCP contraction. There's no more sellers almost in this area. Every time we kind of close below the 8. This is where the whole market took a hit. Actually, it was on the 3rd. We'd start taking a hit on all indexes on the 3rd. Well, look at how the stock behaved right on those days. 3 days. 3rd, 4th, and then the 8th. yeah, third, fourth, and then eighth. We stayed right above the 21. Again, showing strength comparing to all other stocks. Well, on Thursday we broke out on heavy volume. You can see it right in here. Look at the relative strength on the blue line in here, making all-time high. Right in here, blue line. And yeah, so I bought it right on that day. I'm just gonna lead me and show me the way. Good stock. Let's look at it in a weekly. There's nothing wrong with stock. Bullish on it. Beautiful setup, clean and simple chart. That's all I want. That's it. Another one that I want to talk about is CRWD. Well, compare this one to the previous stocks that we talked about, the FANG stocks. Well, look at this one, how it's behaving. Is it above or is it below the 21 or its moving averages? Yeah, it's a little bit below the 8 EMA, but it's holding its 21. It's showing me strength again. Stock that it wants to push higher. It's like once the market reverts back to the upside, man, you want to see the stock like pushing even higher. Usually the incorrections, and that's what the leaders do. They just consolidate sideways while other stocks are moving lower. So yeah, if I look that on hourly, it's just moving sideways, no man's land, and it's still making higher lows right in here. Yep. So that's one of them. There's actually quite a few. If you do some homework, you will find quite a good stocks that it's holding their 21 moving average. So at this time, you want to look for stocks that have a good relative strength. Last time I said the Dow Jones 21, it's acting in it was a canary in coal mine, and it's acting differently than any other index. And I urge you to go and look for some stocks in the Dow Jones 20. I don't know if you did that or not. I'll give you a hint. Some of the expensive stocks that I found, you can find another ones. It was a CP, Canadian Pacific Railway Transport. Look at it again. We got hit on those 3 days, and then it took waste no time claiming back those moving averages, break all-time high in here. Now we're still holding above the 21. You look at it in a weekly, nothing wrong with it. This could act as a reversal, but until then there is no such thing as reversal until if it goes above, if it start closing above the high of the 312 or 313, it's just gonna show some bullishness, and it wants to go lower until we start closing below it, 296, 295, and then I'll turn my bias on it. I'll say it's kind of wants to go even lower, but until then it's still good and it's holding. There's nothing wrong with the chart as far as I'm concerned. Yep. So there is another one. I urge you to go look for some stocks that it's holding their ground. I hope you guys you find any value in this stock in this weekly update. If you did, give me a like, subscribe. This is your first time watching. Help me grow the channel, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye.